Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today we're going to take a look at these colored pencils. They are the brand new set from Arrtx, the first color pencils that they've come out with as far as I'm aware. They have markers and gouache paints. The packaging is always really nice, and I've enjoyed the other products that I've used from them, so I'm excited to check these out. It's in a pretty sturdy cardboard box. Now this was shipped to me from Amazon in one of the bubble mailers, so sometimes things get a little dented in the bubble mailers, but none of the pencils were damaged, so that's good, and the case is certainly serviceable. I think this is around $20. This was sent to me for review purposes for free, so I didn't pay for them. I just want to let you know that in case you think it may cloud my judgment at all. But I believe they're selling for around $20 on Amazon, between 20 and 30 anyway. And if the company gives me a coupon code to share, I will put that in the video description as well. So on the back you see the colors that are included in the set. There are 70 typical colors and a silver and a gold. And these, I believe, are made in China. Made in China, yep. Just like their other products. Now you pull off the lid and you actually have a lovely storage situation where you can see all of your colors. Now if you end up using some colors more than others, I'd recommend kind of like rotating them so you have the shorter colors on the side, but you can look down and see all the colors, which I think is nice. I've used them a little bit, and my daughter has also used these for some coloring on some coloring sheets. So, so far so good. I really like how they feel. She liked how soft they felt. Let's look at the swatches that I did, because that's usually what I do when I first get a set of pencils. So I swatched them on white, and this is my Arrtx, one of my Arrtx sketchbooks, because I was sitting upstairs, you know, on the couch watching TV, you know, just kind of like a chill weekend thing to do. And so I just grabbed my sketchbook off of my fun art desk, and I also just grabbed a piece of black paper. These are not super impressive on black. They're not super opaque. They almost feel a little more like an oil-based pencil, but they are soft. So, you know, they don't really feel waxy, but they do feel soft. The colors are really vibrant on your white paper. And I was able to get 7 layers. However, I did have to use some pressure at layer 7 to get it to lay down. Now, I haven't tried these with odorless mineral spirits, but I will grab some out just so we can have a look here. I'm sure it'll work fine. And we'll also try it with water, just because a lot of times these pencils also tend to move with water a bit. So with our odorless mineral spirits, I keep mine in a little jar with some cotton balls on the bottom so I don't get too much. And let's just see how it works here towards the end. Yep, it blends out with odorless mineral spirits. Obviously, you wouldn't be trying to smudge it like this, but I'm just showing you that, yeah, you can get that to blend out. Then, and I also just clean my brush on the cotton balls too, and if the cotton balls get gross, then I just replace the top cotton ball, and it helps me conserve my mineral spirits and also keeps it from evaporating or spilling. So, isn't that cute? My niece Rachel got me that in Las Vegas as a souvenir, and I'm like, this is just, I've used this ever since. It's just perfect. Now I'm just going to grab a brush for just using some water. I will do that right here. And yes, they move, actually, I'd say they move a little bit better with water than with odorless mineral spirits. So if you are someone who doesn't want to use the mineral spirits, I think if like between the two, a reason to use the odorless mineral spirits might be so your paper doesn't buckle, but it moves just as well with either. These are not advertised as a watercolor pencil. I don't think they probably move as well as a watercolor pencil. We can try a few. We'll try a few different colors here. But yeah, like you'll definitely still see those lines that you put down. Unlike if you had a watercolor pencil, they would all break down. I'll just zoom in a little bit more. Hopefully this stays in focus and you can see. Reds are usually pretty good for smearing with water. Yeah, you still keep all of your mark retention, but yeah, the colors do definitely move. And I like to do this test because I know some folks like to use fixative on their coloring pages, and I think this this set of pencils might be more geared to coloring enthusiasts. So I just want to let you know that in case you are using some sort of fixative that may interact with that. That said, my polychromos move with water, not quite this much, but they do move a bit. So, you know, just something to be aware of. But here you can see the range of the colors that are in the 72 set. You've got a really nice selection of yellows. You've got a pretty decent selection of blues. You've got a few purples. You've got a good selection of red and oranges. You've got some nice earth tones, and you've got a good selection of grays. It's pretty well balanced. I think if you went with like your peaches and creams and browns, you could do some good skin tones, and they do layer and blend really well. I did this little sketch just from my imagination. I just wanted to draw something, and I was just sitting on the couch and I didn't have anything that I really wanted to draw within, you know, looking distance. So I just kind of created a paint tube because I've seen millions of paint tubes in my time. So, oh, it doesn't want to focus. There we go, put my hand in there. And I really enjoyed working with them. They layered really well, they blended. I was really happy with that. So I thought that it would be fun to just do like a little drawing together. And I'm going to work on the Canson Sand Grain Dry Mixed Media paper. I haven't really used this much. I've done an oil pastel on it and I really liked it. So this paper has kind of like a pebbly texture to it. It's not sandy, but it definitely has a texture, and I do like textured paper. And I am just going to chop this down like in half, roughly. Let's see. You know what? I want to make a square because I want to draw a hamburger. So I'm going to do like a 6x6 square here. I think that would be a nice size to do. And I'll also be trying out this paper because I haven't really used it too much. All right, so we will use that. I probably won't keep these on camera because I think they might come out of focus a lot, but we will work just like that. I don't really need to see my swatch. I didn't even number my swatches. Honestly, I don't typically swatch my pencils unless I'm doing a review because I don't find it to be all that useful. There's like a foam insert that keeps these standing up, but let me take out a couple pencils. So can you see that? The foam, like you'll have two pencils side by side in there. They're not individual holes. So when you take one out, sometimes the other one wants to fall into the other hole. So I just want to show you that. I wish they were individual foam holes, but I think that would make the box probably twice as big. And I do appreciate how compact this is. Maybe that will stay in focus. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. If I feel like it's being a menace, then I will move it. So I'm going to start off by sketching, and I'm going to sketch just kind of like a light brown color. I don't know if this will show up. This might be too, you know what, it's probably not going to be dark enough for you to see. Let me just see. Oh, it's a great color for sketching, but I don't think it'll show up for you, will it? No, it's too light. All right, so if I was going to do this and not film it, I would use that, but since I am filming, I'm just going to go with something that's darker. I am moving that out of the way because I have a feeling that is going to be a problem. I want to make sure that I fill the space as best I can. The photo I'm using is by Mafe Studio on Unsplash. I think if I get the two buns in first of our burger, then I will be able to make it so I can kind of fill the space. I want it to come up a little bit higher. I like to make really, I call them my bodacious veggie burgers, like, and I just load them right up with like pickles and tomatoes and onions, like caramelized onions and stuff like that. Of course, this is a traditional burger, but I just liked how there were so many colors and textures in here that I thought it would be a really fun subject. Now, I think this is probably just like a splurp of mayo here, so I'm just gonna lightly sketch that in. Let's get the bottom of the burger there. There's some cheese kind of melting down over the edges. I have drawn burgers before. Wow, this is like two different kinds of cheeses. That's excessive. You'd be full for days with this burger. Holy cow. All right, so I'm kind of just contour drawing here. I'm just looking at, there's another like piece of cheese that's over the burger part. You know, this could be Daya cheese. It could be a Beyond Burger, if anybody's offended by the fact that I'm drawing a hamburger. And then I'm going to switch to green to draw the lettuce, so that way I won't have to worry about trying to cover up some other colors, you know what I mean? Now this is kind of like a curly leaf lettuce, so I'm just kind of getting that that shape. Boy, I didn't know if this paper would be all right for pencils, but it does seem to be grabbing these. I think because they're really soft, it does seem to be grabbing these just fine. Well, this is going to curl up there. Oh, isn't it? See, this is why I like to draw things like this, because it's just really wonderful textures here. And then I'm going to get the tomato based in. That's not quite the right red I want. Boy, I like that I like the feel of the barrels, and I like the fully lacquered barrel because it's easy to see. This one's called Carmine Red. They're individually named. There is a barcode on each of these. As of yet, there's no open stock that I know of. It could just be that I just don't know. They actually feel, well, they feel softer to me. I'm going to have to compare. Like, this is not the full review. This is more of like a tutorial and a first impression, but I'm going to have to see, because like holding them in my hands, they kind of feel like the Marco Tributes. And they also kind of feel like the Phoenix color, they could very well be because, oh, let's see, I need to make room for that tomato slice. I might put it under the mayo because, yeah, I think I'll do that. They kind of feel like that, the glossiness of the barrel. They almost feel a little softer though, so I don't know. Again, another tomato slice. Oh, this is a type of burger I like with lots of veggies, lots of tomatoes. I'm in the minority in my household. Nobody else likes tomatoes. I think it's because they never really had good tomatoes. I've got some, like one of those old Jiffy greenhouses going. Wish me luck. I have no idea if those things work pretty well, but I have watched some reviews or some demos of people online that clearly know what they're doing. So I'm hoping that that I'll be able to make it happen there. So yeah, that's pretty good. We got our basic sketch down. So now I'm going to take this. I haven't sharpened. Well, I've sharpened a few of these, and I know Lila has. The thing I like about a sanded paper or a textured paper is that you can be pretty quick about laying down colors. And I want to block these in. I'm going to use the edge of my pencil to try not to get any specific lines. If your sketch is really like dark and hairy, you might want to go in and erase it a bit. Maybe I should have on some of those lines, but to be honest, I rarely erase anything unless I've really got something wrong that's going to be a distraction. I hardly ever erase. If it's something really complex though, and I'm working with really expensive fragile paper, I will draw it on like copy paper or even tracing paper and then transfer it using graphite paper. But other than that, I mean, I don't tend to erase. All right, since I sketched with this one, I'm going to use this for some shading. There is some poppy seeds on there, but I might have to do that with like touch up texture later. I like to do mixed media because I like the ability to alter things as I go. There. Now see, I didn't erase because I knew there was going to be some darker toastiness up there, and now you really can't even see where those sketchy lines were. So that's a reason for that. So now I'm just figuring out how much of the tomato I'd be able to see there. I will need a cooler brown. But for now, I'm going to start with this because I've already sketched with it, basically. Even if it's not the perfect shade of brown, I want to kind of get that color integrated. I think these layer pretty well. I think that's partially why they kind of, I'm trying to see, see what kind of pencils they are? Saturated color, soft core, artist quality. I don't see where it says wax or oil. I could look on the, I'll have to check the Amazon listing and see what that says. I'm not going to worry about any smudges underneath the burger because I will go in and add like a drop shadow probably, or cast shadow I should say. Now one way I like to work is I actually like to work the whole picture at once. And I do that because then if I decide that I'm sick of it, or I decide I like the way it's looking, I can just be done. You know, if I don't want to bring more detail, I don't have to. If you start like from one side and go to the other, then you're kind of stuck with however much detail you've decided to throw in there. If you've put something really super detailed, you may, you know, then you kind of got to do that everywhere, especially something close up like this. I mean, you could have a shallow depth of field and like a scene and have like your focal point really detailed and then other things are blurry, and that's fine. But if you're doing something like this where everything's kind of close, then you get kind of stuck where you have to bring everything up to the same level. I'm grabbing a more orange pencil and I'm going to add in a kind of lighter orangey, more orangey area. Now I got a shiny area, so I'm going to go in and put that in with white. The white isn't super strong because it's, you know, these pencils are a little translucent. They're vibrant on white, but not super strong. So I do want to put in any little highlights that I want on these tomatoes first. And then when I go over, if I go over it, it should resist a little bit. Oh, that's not tomato, that's mayo or something. Actually, I probably have a little too much of that there. I think I want this to be red in there too. Now, on a situation like that, where I'm going to be doing that in white, and I've got red there, I will take my electric eraser. I haven't used that on this paper yet, so we'll see. I don't use this very often either. I'm actually, a lot of times, if it gets if it's stained, I will run that on a piece of fabric. Like if I'm wearing jeans, I'll just run it right on my jeans and pick up that erase that really well. This is a really durable paper. I'm pretty pleased with it. It's, again, the Canton XL sand grain paper. It's really inexpensive. So I really like that. Let's see, this yellow looks a little too lemony. I want something a little bit warmer. Wow. See, now this one, the barrel does not match the color at all. The tip of this pencil is like a lime greeny yellow, and this is like a creamy yellow. So I definitely look at the tip of the lead before you commit to a color. This one will be good for the bottom cheese. I've got to indicate where that burger is, though, because I didn't sketch it in. There we go. I'm not using much pressure at all. And I didn't have to use a lot of pressure on that smoother watercolor paper there from the Arrtx sketchbook. So I think this would be a really nice solution for somebody who is in a limited space. They need storage and they need their pencils handy in a small compact footprint, and also they don't want to press a lot, you know. They have maybe limited hand strength. And I don't, but I still prefer a softer pencil myself. I like to find those gems. I like to find those bargains and the diamonds in the rough that that are inexpensive and a good quality. Now I do need a different shade of yellow because that yellow is a little too orangey. The yellows don't have great color representation. That one might work, but that still looks a little bit light. Oh, this one I think will work pretty well. And I'm using the edge of the pencil lead just to kind of base in. Now, one thing I'm liking about this paper is that I don't have to have a really sharp pencil. And I've only sharpened these with, the ones that I have sharpened with just a handheld sharpener, and I didn't have any breakage, so, and neither did Lila when she was using them, so that's a good sign. And I think I'll go ahead and base coat this in, the burger in with this brown, even though it's not exactly the brown that I want. I know I'll be adding other colors to it, and again, it's going to cross-pollinate everything with my sketch. I know it looks really grainy at this stage and really light, but I'm just getting the kind of local color down. I'll grab this brighter red, get a little bit of the underside of the tomato. Now let's see, I can see a lighter part in there and a darker part. The lighter part where like the seeds and the gook are. I'm going to get this darker part in there, and then I'll go in with this lighter red for the seed area, and I'll go with some yellow and lighten that up. At the underside of this tomato here. Just being careful around that mayo. And I'm going to base coat the mayo in white. I'm just going to I'm going to burnish. I'm going to firmly color in the area that's going to be white. Because I know this is a weak color, and this is like, I'm coloring so firm that I feel it all the way up into my arm. I feel like my muscles all the way in my arm. That's how firm I'm coloring that. And I can't tell if this is, seems like there might be a little bit of mayo up here. And again, I can touch that up with a little bit of titanium white later, but I just want to get that in right now so I won't go over it with anything else. All right, so layer 1 is done. And this is a good point to take a break if you want to. I am going to continue on with the next layer though and keep on building it. This will be probably a little bit longer of a tutorial. Okay, I'm going to go right in with my darkest value, and that would be the dark on the burger. And I'm using, is this dark umber or dark brown? I'm using dark brown. I'm really thankful that they put the names here, because sometimes when you get like a couple of colors, it's like, I don't know what color that is. It just can help. It also can help if you're colorblind, to kind of choose between a couple of colors. If you don't know if one is a green or one is a blue, having the name on there is helpful. And even though it's small, I'm surprised I can read that, because this is a glossy barrel and it's got metallic writing. I'm really surprised I can read those letters. It might be because it's dark. I'm going to pay attention as I'm looking at the different colors and see if I can tell what they all are, or if it's just on the dark barrels. Of course, it would be the darker colors that I would really need to be able to see what the colors are, because the lighter tones, it's a little bit easier just to look at the lead. Now this technique here I'm just kind of scribbling really, because I want that texture of the meat. Actually, it does kind of look like a Beyond Burger, because they do mimic the look quite well. And now I'm going to want more of a reddish brown, so I'm going to go back in with that first color. Well, this isn't red enough though, but I will put a little bit more of this in there. I think I need some more pinky, maybe like a mauve or a burgundy. Let's see, what's this one look like? That's a light pink, but that might be kind of nice for like blending and burnishing a little bit. You don't have to have the exact right color, because you can bring it around to where you need it to be. Just a little bit of this. As I use a color, I'm putting it on this side, because that will help me remember. I'll look there first, and if I get a color that will work, I'll pull from that, but if not, then I will go and grab a different color. I think usually it looks better if you layer up a bunch of different colors than if you just find that perfect color and color it in one flat layer. I think. I mean, if you want something a little more realistic, because you have light and other things that react and interact on everything you try to color, so it's going to look a lot more realistic if you have a bunch of different colors. And this one is black, and there are some really dark areas I want to get, so... And this is my darkest value, so this is a good place to have some black. I'm gonna have to look at the back side of this paper because sometimes I feel like it's really catching on the paper and I'm worried that, am I coloring through it? This is 98-pound paper, so it's about the same thickness as a Canson Mi-Teintes or other pastel papers. Oh, no, I don't see any sort. Well, you know, I do see a little divot there, but that could be the surface. This is not the best thing to draw on. I should have flipped my mat over because I have this is a mat that I use for everything. I use resin on it. I've cut on it with a knife. So I mean there are flaws in this mat. Ooh, this is an interesting color. See, this looked like it would be the perfect color, but actually looking at the tip there, it's kind of like greenish. So that's not what I want. Actually, I think I'll go. That's pretty close. Actually, this should be a little bit yellower, I think. That's a little pinky. I might end up just taking all of these colors, all of my pencils out and just laying them on my table. This is kind of like a yellow ochre color. Let's see, this is called Goldenrod. Now, yeah, that is harder to read because it's the base color is a little bit darker, but I could really see on the lead that that's a color I wanted, so it wasn't that big of a deal. On a heavy textured paper, like a sanded paper, I find, and this is, you know, my opinion, but in my experience, but I find that you don't have to be as precise with doing little ovals and you can work a lot quicker. I mean, you don't want to just color willy-nilly and be sloppy about it, but you don't have to pay quite as much attention to the way you're coloring. Actually, no, I think I will clean up under that burger right there. I just don't want to get confused. Oops. It erases really well on this paper anyway. I'm going to want a little bit darker of a shadow right underneath the cheese. I'm going to sharpen this, so if you have headphones on, I would take them out right now. Ooh, sharpens beautifully in my electric sharpener. I usually don't do a needle fine point when I sharpen if I can help it, because I find that tips will snap if they're a really soft pencil. I would really have to compare these side by side with my Phoenix Color and Marco Tributes, because, and even the Mark Art ones, and see how they compare. These feel softer than like the Mark Art and the Arrtx's, but there's only so many factories that make the pencils that, you know, a lot of these companies bring out. And you got to figure that if you are a company and you want to bring products to market because you know you have a brand and you want to have like pencils to match your markers and everything, that you are going to pick from a company that already exists, because it's so expensive to do your own research and development, and by the time you've done that, you can't sell your product at a reasonable price, and then you're a no-name company with a, you know, with a product. So I totally understand. But I always try to figure out what's what, because I don't want you to buy the same thing twice if you already have it, or, well, if you do love something, if you really like, I'm going to let that drizzle right onto the table. If you really like something, it's also good to know that, oh, that's a brand I really like and I'm running low. I think I'll try this brand because I'll try this line because it's a little bit cheaper. You know, I think it's good to be able to have those, just to know, you know, to have that information. And as you do add more layers, you may have to push a little bit more to get them to blend. And this is a texture paper, so it's going to take more layers to get a smoother blend. However, because it could take more layers, you'll get a richer color because you're putting more pigment down. So it's up to you what you choose. If you have strength issues, you might want to have a really smooth paper and like do fewer layers and have it color the tooth that way. That's kind of like how a lot of coloring books are. They're smoother paper. And I know the quality has gotten pretty good on those books. on some of them anyway. I don't have a lot of experience. I have a couple, like I have a Dover one that's just because it's got cool seed packets. And I've got the Art of Nature, which the paper isn't great, but I love the vintage botanical and sea creatures and stuff like that were in it. But I don't know about all the papers that are available or anything. Now, sometimes you get to a point like this and you want to go in and lighten up and blend. Oh, actually, this works all right. A lot of times I would go and just grab a softer white pencil from another company that was, you know, a little bit more expensive. And I still might do that, but I think that looks all right. All right, so now we're going to go in with this guy, the bottom cheese, which looks like a cheddar. My husband got me some vegan cheddar shredded cheese. And I haven't tried it yet. I hope it's good. But I don't want to open it until I know I'll have enough recipes and things like that to use it in, because once you open it, it goes bad really quick. That's sort of the bummers about the vegan cheeses, is that they go bad really quick. And I don't get them too often because they're made with oils, so they're not very healthy. They're pretty fattening, but it's nice once in a while for a treat. But even my vegetarian kid eats regular cheese, so she'll eat the stuff that I make if I put that in it, but it's so expensive. It's not healthy, so it's kind of like a waste. It's kind of like just a treat because it's not. Oh, I like the way that looks. I really like the way that looks. I'm going to go in with the white. This white's not bad. It's not the best. It's not super opaque. I would recommend getting like a Derwent Drawing Chinese White or a Prismacolor White, which I have by the box anyway. But as far as blending, you know, it gets the job done. I don't think it's going to give you like a really strong highlight or anything, but so far I'm really enjoying using these pencils. Are we just going to, like, I don't know, put on a podcast or something and draw and see what I thought? But I thought, you know what, I'm doing this anyway. Well, might as well do it together. That way you guys can do it too. I have to say, I'm pretty happy with these pencils. I love it when I can get like a compact set of something that performs well. It's like I don't even need a ton of colors. 72 is a lot. But I mean, it's like I don't even need a ton of colors if the colors layer and blend and I can get the effect that I want. And so far on 2 different papers, I'm having really good results with these, so I am pleased. Now, what is the edge of this? I'm just looking at the edge to see how that should look. This color is kind of bright, but I think I'll use it to fill, and then I'll go in and layer up, because I think I'll be able to layer up on this pretty well. And I mean, yeah, I'm just filling the tooth here. I don't have to use a lot of pressure to fill this area, which is nice. I don't think this would give anybody hand pain. I have a lot of viewers that comment that they're doing their art from their bed. And that's another reason I like the box here. Now, you wouldn't have to pull these all out. I'm just kind of pulling them out because I'm not that familiar with the color palette yet. But you could definitely kind of replace them. When Lila was using these, she was keeping the box just on the coffee table and replacing them. So I think that would be a nice option, because if you can put the pencil back each time, then there's less chance it's going to fall onto the floor, which, you know, when your pencils fall on the floor, it's a drag, because then you can break the lead, but it's definitely a drag if you are, if you're in a bed and you can't get out to retrieve it. And I appreciate viewers confiding this stuff in me, because otherwise I wouldn't know what to even look, I wouldn't know for different concerns that people have. Now I wonder if we could actually erase highlights. I'm going to try that. I'm going to see, because like there's kind of like a shiny highlight like that. I'm going to see if I can do that with this eraser. So this will both be like kind of a test on the paper and the pencil. Yeah, it is erasing. I have no idea how long these batteries have been in here. So I'm hoping it does. Yeah, that's doing pretty well. Of course it's erasing on yellow. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see that, but I'm going to put white on over top. I probably should use my little sanding pad, which I don't know what I did with. Oh, here it is, to clean it up a little bit. There we go. Save my jeans. Highlight there. Oh, you know, look at that. It really highlighted well on that darker color, probably because I hadn't burnished on that too much. And a little bit of highlight there. Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, I think that probably has a lot to do with this paper being nice and robust. And the paper is really inexpensive. I took a chance. I ordered a pad of each size. They had 9 by 12 and 11 by 14, and they had it in, and this was at Blick, and they had it in natural, which is what I'm using right now, and also a gray. And I paid less than $5 because at the time when they had just put it out, this was like probably 2 weeks ago, they had it in this, it wasn't in the sale category yet, so like if you had a coupon you could actually use it on the paper, and I happened to find a coupon online, and so I was able to use that for that paper. So I was pretty excited because I paid less than $5, and I think that was a steal. I think I need some greens that are not bluish, that are a little bit more yellowish. I think those two. Oh, I got some good choices here. Let's do these two. I really like the feel of these pencils. I think this would make a really nice gift. No, I don't have my lettuce exactly the way the reference photo is, but that's okay. It doesn't need to be. It's a lettuce. It's not like I'm drawing a person and their eyeball is where the mouth should be. It's a hamburger. I'm not quite done with that cheese yet either, but I wanted to get the lettuce in. Now keep in mind, if you already have pencils you like, stick with the pencils that you have and you like. But if you're looking for some that might be a little bit more affordable, or you're looking for a set to practice with, I'm not seeing any reasons why you wouldn't want to practice with these. If like you're saving some other pencils for, for best, and you want a cheaper set to practice with, I don't see any red flags here of why that wouldn't work for you. What I'm doing here is just throwing in some shadows, basically in the depths of the lettuce. Nothing like a big wad of lettuce on your burger or around any sandwich. I love tons of lettuce. The crunch. One of my favorite things to put on a sandwich is pickled red onions. I bought some at a craft fair. I'd never had them before. I wish I bought more jars. Next time, if I see this person again, I can't remember what the name of their company was, but I also bought some dilly beans, which I've never had dilly beans before, and I haven't opened them yet. But, oh my gosh, they were so crispy and tangy. They were so good. Have you ever had pickled onions? Oh my gosh. And I guess you can make them pretty easily, but I haven't had any red onions in the house to try. Oh my gosh, they're so good on sandwiches and on burgers. I love that tangy crunch. Oh, and speaking of onions, this was so funny. I was visiting my mother, my mom and dad, and my mother had this. My mother is someone who can grow anything. I don't know how it skipped a gene. I'm trying to grow some vegetables this summer and some herbs. But so my mother had this onion, and it was sitting in a cleaned out applesauce cup, little plastic cups applesauce comes in. So my mother recycles everything. So she will wash out TV dinner plastic things and use them for paint palettes, and so I come by this rightly. I come by my frugal ways honestly. and she had this onion that had started to sprout, and she had it in this little applesauce cup, and it had like made 3 sprouts that came out of it, and it was really cool looking, and I thought, oh, that would make a really awesome like subject to draw in colored pencils. And I was gonna bring it home. She had it like, she put it in a bag for me to take, or a box or something. She put it in something for me to take home, and I left it there. But anyways, that's my funny onion story. But I was really bummed because it had like the bulb of the onion had like the peely onion skin and had the roots underneath it. I'm like, that would just be such a cool thing to draw. But alas, it is not to be. Now I could just kind of go in and just give a layer over everything here with this lighter lettuce green color. This is called, oh boy, it's something green. Spring green, I think. Yep, that's tough to read. So I take back what I said about it being easy to read. I think it's the silver on the darker colors is easy to read, but not on the mid tone and lighter colors. I wonder, yeah, they use silver even on white. Like some companies, like Prismacolor, although I can read that says white, like Prismacolor will do silver on their darker colors and will do black on white and maybe some of the other pastel tones so that there's a little more contrast. And I think that's something that really pencil companies ought to get their act together about, because especially with the hobby of adult coloring being so popular, rubber stamping is so popular, and those hobbies have a lot of people that are in their, you know, later years enjoying them. They're enjoying art as a retirement hobby. I mean, after you hit 40, your eyes start to have a hard time on like smaller print. And a lot of their customers are going to be in that age group. And even like a company like Arrtx, which I think they probably cater more to a younger crowd, because like their work is very kind of like graphic looking, and it looks very like it would appeal to my kids, which they're in their late teens, early 20s. I think their designs appeal to that age group, but their products are, I think, would really be well suited for older folks as well. I really enjoy them. Now here I'm doing this kind of pastel acid green. It's called chartreuse, and I'm going and getting in some of the highlight areas. I wonder if these were designed maybe to be similar to Prismacolors. They're not as opaque though, so maybe not. They're definitely not as opaque as a Prismacolor. They're not as soft as a Prismacolor. So I don't know if they're trying to go after any other more established brand, or they're just doing their own thing. Their whole ethos is it's a very I don't know, it just seems very young and kind of whimsical. I'm enjoying this though. I'm enjoying drawing a burger and chatting about it. Chatting about my favorite sandwiches. I don't know if I really have a favorite sandwich. I like the, oh shoot, what brand is that? I don't know if it's Morningstar or Gardein. I don't know. There's like a spicy faux chicken burger that's really good. I've started putting the veggie burgers in the air fryer, and what a difference. They're just as good as like frying them in a skillet with a little bit of oil, except you don't need any oil. Very, very good. My son got me a air fryer for Christmas, and it's like, oh, something on the counter. I didn't think I would like it, but man, I use it every day. I use it every single day. It makes, oh my gosh, kale chips. If you like kale, that is so good. Now kale, you could put some, you could make some kale chips or on the side of your burger. That would be really yummy. I mean, like, I am a chip hound. I could definitely trade potato chips for kale chips and not feel like I was missing out. I'm going to sharpen this, so if you have your headphones, you know the drill. I'm still using that Jarlink sharpener, and it's working pretty well. It has slowed down a little bit. I have to say that it used to like sharpen like 3 seconds, but now I think it's a little bit more like, well, I don't know, did you count when I just did that? Maybe it was 3 seconds and I'm impatient, but it seems like it was a lot faster when I first got it. And then like a couple weeks later, it slowed down to like what it is now, and then it's been kind of at this level. And again, not that, you know, not nowhere near as slow as my old 4A one, which was like an Office Depot brand, I think. I don't know, I bought it at a surplus salvage place. I'm throwing in some shadows. I'm going to need some black in here. I'm not going strictly from the reference photo. I'm just kind of using it for what it is, for reference, but I'm kind of just, I'm not looking back at it too often unless I need like a color cue or a texture or something. It's really nice to try drawing from your memory like I did with that paint tube. You'll really surprise yourself, and then you'll find yourself observing things a little more carefully because you might want to draw them later. That's something that I've always, I don't know, struggled with, but been kind of lazy about, would be drawing without a reference. And I think that's something I need to work on more. I'm really pleased with the sharpening of these. I'm pleased with the color selection. I like this paper. Yeah, I'm able to put that black right on there, and it's not like resisting. I'm still able to get purchase with that darker color. And honestly, I didn't think this sand grain paper would be the best for colored pencil, because I was kind of thinking that it would that coating on there, whatever is holding all the pulp, would be a little too slippery to really hold pencil. But you know what, in practice, in swatching, I was like, I don't know about this for colored pencils, but in practice it's working really well for colored pencils. So that's why you can't really tell anything by a swatch other than what a color looks like, you know. So like your swatch can be handy for a color cue, but I think as far as knowing how it's going to perform, you just got to use it, especially with like watercolors. And some of the curly edges back that I kind of lost. Get it back with the black, and then I can go in with the greens. I'm gonna have to sharpen this guy. So headphones. The one thing I don't like about that sharpener is it doesn't appear to have an auto stop. You know, like it's not, like at first I would count 1, 2, 3 and take it out because that's how it would be sharp, but it didn't stop on its own. Or maybe I just didn't leave it in long enough, but it was coming out really sharp when I pulled it out on my own. So I think whatever you get for a sharpener, everyone's a little different. You'll just have to kind of, I don't think there's a perfect one. You just need to figure out what's going to work best for you. Everybody wants to know what the perfect this or the perfect that is. It's like, I don't think there is one. I don't think there is a perfect sharpener or a perfect perfect anything as far as any art supply goes. I want to see what the red selection's looking like. This deep maroon I think might be nice for details on the tomatoes. I'm going to sharpen it though, so I have a nice point. Yeah, that's not quite sharpened at that amount. I think you just can kind of feel like a little bit less resistance when it's time to take it out of the sharpener. Maybe that's what they mean by auto stop. I don't know. I will say that I always have better luck using a, I sharpened that too high, got a little snap at the end. I have a much better luck using an electric versus a handheld sharpener with colored pencils. I know they say you should turn the sharpener and not turn the pencil, and maybe that's where I go wrong, but I find that I always have better. Oh, it looks like there's maybe like, I gotta zoom in. It looks like there might be mushrooms or something on that burger. What's up there? Oh no, it's more mayonnaise that I didn't draw, so we're just gonna ignore that. I have the reference photo on my computer. Yeah, we're just gonna, well, actually, I don't know, maybe I will put that. That's actually an interesting texture. So why don't I put, yeah, I'll put mayo there, but let me erase where that red was. Let me clean my eraser on my stump here. There we go. And I'll go in and just erase right here so I can put mayo. Mayo over right there too. Oh, I love this eraser. This was this is the Quick Fix eraser. It was $5 at Jerry's Autorama and it came with a whole box full of refills. So I don't know if that's still. I got it a while ago, but I think it's something they always carry. I think it might be one of their brands. I don't have anything to compare it with. It's the only one I've ever used, but it works really well. So I recommend it. I think sanded paper, you can work a little faster on sanded paper than other ones. I like to work fast. I love to look at the artwork from other colored pencil artists. It's really detailed and, you know, laborious and stuff, but I would just lose interest before I got to that point. I like to see I like to see an idea come to life. I'm not crazy about the shape of this tomato. I feel like it needs to be rounded up a little bit more. Oh, you know what? I'm going to curve that in a little bit with that eraser. I know, it's funny that I was like, I hardly ever erase anything. Except in this painting, I'm using the eraser as a drawing tool. Yeah, it's a little bit better. Oh, those reds blend together really well. I like that. Ooh, yep, like that a lot. Now let me see if I can, headphones, I'm gonna track them. Not all the way though, because I want to, I'm gonna work firmly with it, so I didn't want to get it really hard. I didn't want to have a really fine tip or it would break. Because these highlights are super white. So if I'm going to burnish with a white pencil, I do not sharpen it too firmly. And bring this. And bring in the red. Oh, making a mess of my edge there. Get that nice glossy tomato texture. Boy, I'm really liking this. This whole combination, these pencils, this paper, that's working really nice. All right, maybe a little bit of a highlight up there, and also a little bit more of a yellow into that area. Look for the subtleties in your colors. And I'll probably need a little bit of black in there, but I don't want to do that quite yet. Now over here, it's a little bit of highlight behind the mayo, but not a lot. I'm just going to put a little bit right there. And this is pretty dark in there. A little bit of the dark up there. Blend out the white a little bit. Okay, there. I think that's pretty good. We'll have to go in with some darker shadows, I think, but I want to get the rest of that that colored in before I do that. I mean, look at these colors. Aren't they pretty? They just look nice all laying down next to each other. I can't remember if I used that color or not. I'm just going to set that up there because I don't remember if I did. Okay, so I want to make sure I have any of my pencil's a little dirty, so I'm just going to scribble that on the, I just want to scribble that on the stump. All right, and now I can work on coloring this area up here. I feel like I almost need a little bit of a gray tone even. When I'm looking at that, parts of the bun up here has a little bit of gray, part of the bun down there has a little bit of gray too. I'm actually going to look at my swatch to see, actually that brown right there that's kind of a grayish brown. It's almost like a sepia. That might work. Let me see if I can figure out what one that is. This one? That looks too dark. Yeah, it's too dark. Maybe this one. There we go. That's one way a swatch can be kind of handy, because this isn't a very, yeah, that's going to work good. Get some texture in there. Move that. I don't know if you can hear it. This thing of brushes is kind of rattling a little bit. Now, if I want this smoother, I can go in with mineral spirits. And when you go in with mineral spirits, it does break down the some of the wax and oils, so you can actually layer up again. It shouldn't harm the tooth of the paper. As long as you let it dry, then you can go back in and you can layer stuff up. You're not using a lot of pressure, kind of using the edge of the pencil again. I just want to get in some shading without really adding a bunch of lines or directional lines. I wonder if I could put in the poppy seeds though. Maybe if I sharpened this, I could draw some of them in. Sharpening. Ooh, look at that point. Alright, so I just draw a few, and I guess we'll be kind of like doing, oh shoot, too sharp. You really don't see a ton of them, so I don't think I need to put too many in to get the point across that we got a poppy seed. Get a poppy seed bun here. My daughter's just had her wisdom teeth out. She can't have any bread with like seeds in it or strawberries or anything for, they said 6 to 8 weeks, no popcorn, because they could get stuck in the wisdom teeth like little pockets as they heal. It's like, man, I don't remember that. I don't remember being like, not being able to have certain things for that long, but Then again, I also don't want to risk, I can kind of see like a little bit more bread there. I'm just going to bring that over like that. I also don't want to risk any infections or anything. Okay, I'm sharpening this one too. Not to quite as fine a point because I learned my lesson last time. What's this color called? See if I can read it. Oh goodness. Beige? Well, that's good. I would have called this beige, so that works out well. Beige, the uncolor. I like the natural tone of this paper though. I think it's really lovely. Wonder if I have something that's bright white that I could show you. Oh, I'm sure I do, but just not right offhand. But it is pretty white. I'd say it's like almost ivory. I like natural tone paper though. Even like watercolor paper, which you'd think you'd want bright white. I like the natural. It's just, I don't know, it just seems, I kind of sometimes think of those super bright white papers that they, you know, because they do use some brighteners. I wonder if that would like harm the overall quality of the paper over time. You know, I'm going right over these poppy seeds because I think I'll still be able to highlight on them. I am using some, I don't know if I want to say force, but I'm using a little bit of force here. It's a firmer pressure anyway. Not enough to like make my arm sore or anything, or my hand sore, but then again, I also don't have strength issues, so if I can't really say if you did have strength issues, if you had arthritis or carpal tunnel, if that would bother you, I can't really say. I like to turn my paper so I can change directions. And I'm sure any proper colored pencil artist would be like, you need to do circles. You're so sloppy. And I would say, touche. You're right. Good point. All right. Now let's see. What was the other darker color I used on the bottom? I think I used the color I sketched with, which I think was this. I'm pretty sure that's what I used to sketch with. This is called Burnt Ochre. Have you tried if you've tried these pencils, let me know what you think in the comments. If you notice any similarities between these and other pencils that you've used, also let me know. I'm looking at the photo that I have, and the photo almost looks, the bun looks very yellow, and I don't really like that. So I'm going to be going my own way a bit. I'm sharpening, so take your headphones off. Yeah, these sharpen so nice. Very nice to sharpen. I like doing small pieces like this. This is a 6x6 because like I can turn it around. I don't really, like I haven't put anything under my hand to keep from smudging. These have not smudged at all, which is really nice. They're kind of staying where I put them. And it's, you know, it's something you can do in a reasonable amount of time. You know, the larger the piece, the longer it's going to take, especially if you want to bring it up to some sort of level of detail. If I'm going with a darker color, though, I will say I will take a little more care to do the little overlapping ovals. so that I don't have any like really hard to blend out lines. So I will go a little bit careful, a little more careful with the darker colors, unless I'm going for a texture and I'm trying to get, like when I was in the beef area and I was trying to get that darker, the kind of meaty pattern there. I think it just depends on what you're going for, really, just like anything else. All right, I'm not done with that yet, but I'm gonna want to work on the mayo first. I'm trying to see. It's kind of using a the colors I see on it are they're kind of beige, but I think I might need to shift that to like a cooler gray just to make it stand out a bit. I'll start with this really light gray. This one's called, this is actually called yellowish gray. Actually, that might be, it's not even showing up. That's too light. It's too close to the natural tone of the paper. Let's see what this one, oh, that one looks very bluish. This is called something 20% cool gray. That looks darker to me, but I think this will work. Although it's not really putting down much color. Probably because of all the white that I've already put down. I bet that's why, because I already put down all that white. But that's alright, I can build up a little bit of little tone there. I'm going with something darker. Let's see, what's this one? 50% warm gray. What's this one? 70% cool gray. I think I'll try this cool gray and then see if I can get a little bit of definition. Of course, it's not going to show up as dark as it would be just because I've got all that white and lighter gray put down, but that's probably going to be a good thing. I think I might need some warmer gray in there because it's looking very sterile. Some of that under the bun a little bit. Where'd that warm gray go? Was this it? Yes. I think I need to add a little bit of a really pale beigey tone on there. Or maybe even a yellow. Maybe this is even really light yellow. Because mayo has a little bit of a yellow tone to it. Not as yellow as what I think the photo is showing, but something anyway. Maybe just a little bit of a yellow ochre color. I think I've already used one. Maybe I could use a little bit of this. But having that white down originally kind of keeps it from getting too dark with any of the colors. Okay, I think I also used the yellow ochre in the bun, so I'm going to go ahead and add some of that. Again, it's a lighter tone, so I don't have to be super careful with it. I'm starting to feel like I'm filling up the tooth. I'm trying to remember if I did any blending with a white on that. I don't remember. but I did have a darker brown, so I'm going to go in and use this color here. This is called actually light umber. Sharpen up edges where I need to sharpen them. And I feel like I need a little bit more dark here under the bun. I think I'll need to do that kind of with some black and actually go through and just separate some of the objects with a sliver of black just to get those really deep shadows. I also want a little bit of highlight on those seeds. Even though they're not bright white, I know I'm not going to get bright white with the white pencil, but I can lighten it up a shift. And let's see, this is the black. Yes, that is the black. I will probably need to sharpen it here in a second, but for right now I'm just going to go in and see how far I can get with how sharp it is. Go very easy with this color. You can always go in and add more if you need to. I'm really happy with how this is coming out. I think it's kind of fun. Fun thing to draw. Fun thing to draw for sure. And drawing should be fun. Don't draw boring things, right? Draw things with textures that appeal to you. I always thought it'd be really fun to illustrate a cookbook. Or maybe just a recipe in a magazine. Maybe not a full cookbook. I'm sure the thrill would wear off real soon. But like maybe a recipe in a magazine. I think that would be really fun. And it's fun to draw. You know, it's fun just to like look at something, draw it. Oh, that's right. We need to do more to that cheese too. I forgot about that. I'm going to sharpen this, so watch your headphones. And these sharpen well. I'm thrilled with how well these sharpen because it is such a bummer to find pencils that you like the feel of and then you go to sharpen them and they always break. Hopefully they'll come out with open stock for these. I don't know if they have plans to. Generally with really inexpensive pencils, they don't because it would cost, you know, you're going to pay $1 a pencil open stock or more if you can just buy a whole new set of 72 for like, you know, for $20. Sometimes companies do though. Sometimes just regular people do. They'll buy a bunch of sets and then they'll sell them open stock on like Etsy or something. Whatever works. Whatever works, right? Now I have that way darker than the bun up top. But it is darker than the bun up top. But I think I still need to like do something to make it a little bit more comparable. This weird, I'm not even sure what's going on here. It looks like it's like a little bit of torn bread or something, but it's right next to the mayonnaise and it's not that different in color, so it's kind of confusing. I'm just gonna add more bread color and just commit to it. Wouldn't hurt to actually just maybe tape down the corners of the paper here, because I noticed like as I'm working I'm kind of like bending the paper a little bit, so I probably advise that maybe just on, or clip it to like a little square foam core, or probably not cardboard. You know what would work really well? If you save like the backing, like when you get a pad of watercolor paper, save this chipboard backing. It's generally acid free, or at least buffered, so that it doesn't damage the paper that it's supporting. And I always keep those. You can chop them down to whatever size you need, and then you've got nice little boards you can just clip your paper to. The reason I say that over foam core is because foam core can be dented by your pencils pretty easily. The chipboard's really dense, so it shouldn't get dented. You could also use like a clipboard or a self-healing cutting mat or something like that. Maybe keep it just for pencil, like get one of those ones from the Dollar Tree that are like 6 by 9 for your smaller paintings. Don't be like me, you can't be bothered to just like, you know, just flip their mat over and use the non-scratched up side. It's not too bad with this paper though, because this paper has its own texture to it, and it's textured enough that like if you do have scratches on your board underneath, it doesn't seem to bother it too badly. But you wouldn't want cardboard, because cardboard has that really strong like groove to it. You know, the corrugation, you'd definitely be able to see that. Okay, I think I'm going to take a break, and then I'm going to look at this again, and when we come back we'll put our finishing touches on it. I'm back from having a little break, and as I'm looking at this, I think the bottom bun should be bigger. I didn't realize it is a little bit bigger, but as I'm looking at my reference photo, it's so shadowed here and it's so close to the same color as the table that I didn't realize that. So I'm going to go ahead and extend that over a little bit. And I think that will look a little bit more proportioned. And that's, you know, why I'm always mentioning in the videos to give your eyes a break, take a break, and let your eyes just kind of see something else for a while, because this little thing, this would not have jumped out to me if I hadn't gotten away from it for a little bit and then come back to it. And like the shadow is so dark here, it is actually reading as black on the reference photo. I'm not sure if I'll put a shadow underneath it or not. I'm thinking I might not, because I do kind of like that almost botanical look of the no shadow. Oh shoot. Oop, the furnace is going on. Sorry about that, guys, but I've got this vacation week. Kids are home. Not much I can do about it. Now I do feel like I need to balance this, even though that top bun is so much lighter. I gotta have something to kind of anchor it, I think. And I think I'm just gonna need to go bite the bullet and get some black in there. I don't want a lot, but I do need something. Maybe a little bit of that darker brown. I think this is coming out pretty nicely though. And I never really, oh yeah, I was going to do more to that cheese too. I totally forgot about that. I'm wondering, let's see, some of this like reddish brown, orangish brown. When you think of browns, browns are actually kind of like desaturated oranges. I'm going to here get this kind of shadow on the underside of the cheese. I'm going to sharpen this, so watch your headphones. I'd love to know in the comments below if you, if when there's a long tutorial like this, if you do it all in one go, or if you like break it up and do like over a couple of days, if you draw along. Actually, let me know if you draw along. I'm really curious about that. I never know if people actually draw along with the tutorials, or if they just have them on in the background while they're doing other things, or if they prefer a time lapse, because you know this is a long video, and I know a lot of people will be like, "There's no way I'm even turning that video on," but I guess I won't be commenting because because they wouldn't have watched it. But I always kind of wonder about that because, you know, it is really long. But then you get to at least see how long it takes and see, you know, what goes into it and stuff. I'm gonna add this brown right up against where the burger and the cheese touch. The cheese touch. Diary of a Wimpy Kid. If you have kids of a certain age, you probably know all about the cheese touch. Those were some cute books. I liked reading those to the kids. Now, I can't remember if I put any white on this or not. I'm gonna see. I'm gonna try. I don't reckon it's gonna. Oh, actually, it is holding up because I remember we erased the highlight. I've heard like there's like all these like tricks that photographers use that photograph food to like make it look super appealing and yummy. And I wonder, like, unlike this, I wonder if this is like really cheese or if it's like some weird like concoction that they use to make it, you know, just look really, you know, ooey and gooey, or like it's cornstarch and water, like it's oobleck or something like that. I don't know. It'd be interesting. That'd be an interesting job to have, I really think. I am going to use some of this same yellow I used on the lower cheese for some of the darker areas. Like, I've heard that like they use mashed potatoes instead of ice cream when they're photographing ice cream. Like, that's interesting. Or like they use glue instead of milk when they're photographing cereal. Like, that's pretty cool. And it's okay if I blend some of that green out, because I think you would have a little bit of like green reflecting from the shininess of the cheese. I'm gonna need a little bit of gray. Did I not move my grays? Oh, I think this gray will be good, because you can see definitely a gray shadow. I'm going to go really light. I will mind my ovals with this just because I don't want to have any really hard streaks. It's totally fine if you watch this. I know a lot of people say they'll watch, at least in Critique Club in my classes, they'll watch a lesson through all the way and then they'll paint along. So please feel free to pause if you need to, so that you're not rushing if you don't like to paint at the or draw at the pace that I draw. I know I can go a little bit quickly. I haven't decided if I want. I mean, if I was going to use mineral spirits, this would actually be a good place to do that. I want a little bit of brown. I have so much yellow underneath, it is having a hard time to grab. So this might be a good point to try the mineral spirits. I don't really feel like I need to do too much to this. But when you have a lot of material on, that's the best time to go in with the mineral spirits, because you do need a decent amount there to get it to blend. That's blending out beautifully. Let's see, do I want to use that anywhere else? Maybe I will actually use it on the bun as well, just to kind of help smooth things out if I don't want too much texture in some areas. This paper is kind of interesting. It feels like it's called sand grain. It doesn't feel like sandpaper, but under your fingers though, it feels almost like there's a dust on it. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't come off or anything, but you can kind of feel this like dusty quality to it. I wonder if that's why they call it sand grain, because it has the dusty feeling under your fingers. It almost feels like you're getting something on the paper. Like, oh, what do I have on my fingers? I feel like I'm getting something on the paper. So it can kind of feel a little panicky. It's like, ah, what have I done? I find having that cotton ball in my jar of mineral spirits keeps me from getting too much. Oops, I feel like I might be lifting up too much there. Because you don't want too much of the mineral spirits on your brush. I'm just going to skip right down here. Once you add the mineral spirits, you will regain some of the tooth back once it dries. You don't want to go onto it while it's wet, or you will mash down the tooth of your paper and then it's not going to hold as much. I'm just deciding if I want to do any more. Whoa, that could have been. See, another reason to keep the cotton ball in there was if that didn't have the cotton balls, I would have just dumped mineral spirits on my painting. Get a glossier look to the mayo here. Maybe. And it will allow me to put more on later more color on if I want to after. Gosh, I honestly think I could just leave it the way this is. Do my highlight first, and then I'll kind of branch out to where it's the next lightest. You can blend those shadows as well. Can bring some of that red down into the meat patty there. What the heck? Try it everywhere. My beautiful curly leaf lettuce. Now, odorless mineral spirits does not turn your regular color pencils into a watercolor pencil. You're not going to get that kind of spread. You're just going to get rid of some of the grain, which if you're working on a really textured paper like this, that can be really helpful if you don't want to see any specks of grain. Although I have to say, this paper did take the pencil really well, and I don't have a ton of grain. I think I want to bring a little bit of that green. If there is some green on my brush, I just want to bring it over. Actually, it's not picking up too much, and it's pretty much leaving it where it is, I think, because of the tooth in the paper. Okay. I'm going to latch that shut so I don't spill it. And I think what I'm going to do now is mix up some brush and pencil, titanium white, and touch-up texture so that I can use it on the seeds and any of the other really shiny areas. If you know how to do this, you can skip ahead. If you don't, then I'll just show you. So this is what it is. It comes in this this little vial. I'm going to tip it upside down because there's like a little screen on there, and I'm going to tip out some of the powder. I'm going to put a little bit of the powder. I don't want too much because you have to use it up. It doesn't keep, so I just want a little tiny bit, like hardly any, just a tiny little bit there. I'm going to cap this up. This will last you, well, if you're like me, it will last you a long time. I just use it for the final details at the end. And then I'm just going to put like a drop of this. Now this, if I needed more texture somewhere, let's say, I'll just show you here. Let's say, boy, I want some highlights on those, on that lettuce. So I could go in with this and I can add, I can just kind of paint this. Places where I feel like the, I don't have any more tooth on my paper to add more pencil. And let that dry, and then I can go in with a pencil and it's going to grab the pencil a lot better. So, but for this instance, what I want to do is actually just pour a little bit of this in here. And this is also going to be like a little binder for me. I don't need much. That might even be too much. I want to wipe off that lid before I put the lid on. So it doesn't seal itself shut, because this stuff is kind of expensive, so I don't want to waste it. It should, as long as you don't seal it shut, it should last you a good long time. And then I can mix it up with the same brush I used for my mineral spirits. I just wiped it off. And then I'm not going to apply it with this brush, I'm going to apply it with a small brush. I just want to get that all mixed up really well, get the clumps out, and that's all there is to it. But you just don't want to overdo it, because you don't want to mix too much, because you won't be able to use it up in time. And the reason I would use this as opposed to a gel pen is just because it is a little bit more, well, it's a lot more archival, meaning like the white's not going to flake off like it would if I used another product. Hopefully I got enough of the white in there. I'm going to get it on the mayo. I want to put it on the cheese. I mean, I could keep layering up if I wanted to, but I really don't think I need to. So this cheese down here. Put a little bit there and just kind of smudge it, maybe. That might be a little too much. Do the little... You can also add it, and then you can go over it with the pencils too. That touch-up texture will make it so it will grab the pencil. So if it's too white, if you're like, oh, I don't like that, it's way too white, you can just go in and tint it with another pencil. Could do some of the highlights here. I probably will go over that with my pencil. Oh, and there's just this really fine, juicy line right where the The hamburger juices are collecting next to the cheese there. All right. And I feel like I could actually even do like a little bit of highlight there, but I would just kind of put it down and just kind of spread it out with my finger. All right. And I'll wash those brushes out with soap and water. I think this looks pretty good the way it is. Obviously you can keep on layering if you want to. Like I kind of feel that that yellow could be a little bit warmer, but I don't really, I'm kind of feeling like I don't have exactly, maybe the shade here, because it's pretty light, but it's also a little bit warmer. I kind of feel like I could go in there and add a little bit more. But I also feel like I've filled up this tooth pretty well. Even with the mineral spirits, it doesn't really want to take a lot more there. I'm going to go in here, areas where I want it to be a little bit brighter with this chartreuse. I can go over the touch-up texture and also the white that I put on there. And it shouldn't flake off because it's got that touch-up texture in there, and it's meant for, it's specifically meant not to flake off with colored pencil. But if you have a gel pen and you know you're working your sketchbook and you don't really care about the archivability, yes, you can totally use that. But this product is available. The touch-up texture and titanium white is available if you want it. Basically, is all I want to say about that, really. I think it's wonderful, but I can also see using a gel pen if you don't really care about the longevity of it, because, you know, sometimes you're just drawing because it's fun and you're not bothered by it. I feel like I need to do something to make this top bun a little bit closer to the bottom bun. Even though the bottom bun is in shadow, I still feel like this should be a little bit closer. So I'm just using this size. This is light umber. And let me grab a darker brown here. This one's called Dark Brown. Oh, this one's grabbing a lot better. I just felt like I just need to balance that a little bit. It's just a little too light. Even though it is light in the reference photo, it's not feeling like it's part of the same burger to me. And that's where, when you're doing your artwork, you can change things. Like when you look at a landscape, when you see some beautiful landscapes painting, sometimes you're like, oh, what a beautiful place, I would love to paint that that location. But that location might not look like that in real life. It might, you know, the artist probably moved a tree and shifted the colors a little bit so it all went together a little bit better. It all looked a little bit more more nice and natural and pleasing. You know, they edited out the dumpster. They edited out the you know, the plastic bag that's caught in a tree. You know, they edit those things out, and you can too. A little bit of yellow ochre. Actually, I like a little bit of texture in the bread. Let's go back to that beige. That beige is really nice for the poppy seeds, because the white looks a little too cool. All right, I think I'm going to call this done, actually. I hope you enjoyed this long tutorial. It was a long one. Thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. And I hope you give it a try, too. Again, these are the Arrtx color pencils. I will link to them in the video description. I don't know if I really need to do a review on top of that. I feel like we've talked about all of it, all of it so far. But it was fun, and I hope you enjoyed it. I did, anyway. Yeah, that's about it. Please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed these longer tutorials. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Maybe it's too long. Let me know. This is the type of thing I often will put up in Critique Club. If you're interested in that, I'll put a link to that. Obviously, this isn't going to be in there because this is here on YouTube. But that's kind of similar. We do longer tutorials like that. They're a little bit more advanced in Critique Club if that's anything that you would be interested in. But I'll put all the information in the video description. I want to thank you so much for watching. Until next time, happy crafting.